All right. Happy Friday to all you devils out there. Sam here with you. Oh, we'll see you here where it's 1:30 here on the 21st. Of course, we're going to get an update here on Bitcoin. So, same chart, nothing, no change here. Now, there's a lot going on here, actually. Here, we're going to go through these pieces one at a time here. The broader count here, this of course, even with the sell-off yesterday, there's no real change here. And certainly, there's value in stepping back to get a little perspective, right? If you're looking at the 15-minute chart, it looks like, Bitcoin had a meltdown. Well, maybe. But certainly at this distance, it looks less severe. And it would certainly be consistent with, well, certainly in terms of my analysis here, what I've been seeing here and proposing is that this remains one of two possibilities here. Either we're going to go A, B, C into a flat, and we'll dig into that in a little bit. Or, right, as I've said, it's been when we put in these lows, it's almost 6 months here. We've been, or we're going to do a triangle and get out of here. We'll look at both. Now, of course, what dictates that and how we interpret and when the next trade would happen, assuming you're not shorting on the way down, is how do we finish here? Right? I mean, are we done now? We could be. I mean, nothing says we wouldn't. Look here, you'd be right at all the structure here from that pivot here. Could be. Well, if we were here, could we be done here? Could you stick the 4 over here and say, well, I mean, of course, the market doesn't have to do anything. That would be a little bit unusual. If you were thinking it was a flat, it would be more common for it to come down here. And, again, here, when we dig into it a little bit more, I think that would be a more likely location here. Now, keep in mind here, I've got a corner pocket here as well. Right? So I've got a couple of things going on here. I still, my 80% is still intact here. Nothing changes simply because I've got a pivot higher than where we started here. So that 80% is still in play. You'll note here, this is the 786 and the 887 here. I've got on this outer channel here. If we were to come down here, and of course I'm going to use the median line, but we'd have beautiful just balance between the inside edges here of the median lines that have been containing this entire move. Now, again, the market doesn't have to do this. It's just, this is kind of a guideline for us. So I mean, wouldn't that be just remarkable, right? Now you slide the 4 over and say, whoa, my God, this literally right out of Elliott 101, the definition of a flat. Now there's a little more going on in here, and when we dig into this, there's a couple of different ways this can be counted. I don't know that there's one count that you could really lean into and say, that is the best fit. There are degrees of fit here, and certainly as Elliotticians here, we want to approach it with a primary and perhaps a couple of alternates, which I'm going to do here today. We'll look at what I think is the best fit and then a couple of alternates so that we're prepared for anything that might come. Let me just zoom in here a little bit, because what's happening here is, it really is, it takes some of the mystery of the market out, because the one thing that you guys have heard me say many, many times, there are no random pivots. So let me dig in here and let's just take a look here. So the first question you'd be asking yourself if you're looking here, I mean, here's the, the market freaks out. Is it the news? Is it the Russia that's calling for a ban? Is it the meltdown in the tech indexes, tech stocks? Is it Peloton? What's causing it? Well, often what we're trying to do here is we can always kind of Monday morning quarterback as to why, right? Why it falls, right? That's what so much is happening. But what we're really more focused on is not why it's falling. It's going to do what it's going to do, but how it moves when it falls or when it rises, right? That's the name of the game here as technicians, because the market tends to repeat patterns because human beings respond emotionally. There's nothing more emotional than money. I know you lovebirds out there want to say love, but it would be a toss-up, right? I might get mixed reviews on that, but since my wife's not here at the moment, I'm going with money, right? Few things would inspire more emotional reactionary decisions than money at risk, or when you're in trouble, or when you've got profit, right? Fear, greed, fear, greed. It's the same thing over. It's why it moves. There is no magic to Elliott Wave other than it gives us a way to quantify and look for patterns that repeat based on human emotion of fear, greed, right? Same thing that moves the market. So as you look here, and you look and say, oh man, fucking crazy shit yesterday. Market's selling down. We're down 4 or 5 grand. Okay, what's going on? But then really the next question you'd likely ask yourself is, well, why do we stop here? Right? If it's oh my God, crypto's crashing. Why do we stop here? Right? Why? We could we could be breaking this while I'm recording the video based on the price action I see here. Now, we are on a daily here on the index here, so that's got a little bit more to go. But you'd look at that and you'd say, okay, well, why? Why does it stop there? Well, you could look at it here and just say the price action. Oh, we have a prior pivot here. We'd ping that to the tick. Oh, you might look here and say, oh, well, I've got price structure in here. Well, it looks like prior resistance, support. Well, we poked through and a little freak out. Maybe it's liquidation wicks here, but as we hit that low, you could make a reasonable deduction there. Oh, maybe it's just we're right on the edge here of the high volume node here, and we're just going to come up right in the little divot here where we have a lower volume node here, because you can see here very little business was done here recently. Is that why? Well, let's dig in there a little bit further here and just see if we can come up to a conclusion as to why the market would stop there. Right, so we a couple of reasons here we've already talked about. This price action structure. Well, let's just dig in there and see what else is there. Some of this we've looked at here, so perhaps it's this one here. We looked at this one last week. All right, we got that. So you have a different choice of pivots out here on the daily. So we looked at some variable pivots here, but on the daily, here we're within a tick or two of the golden zone. Here we're in a tick or two of the target, right? So here's an algo that's getting paid, right? We can just see it clear as a bell. We don't have to wonder. Now, how do we know it's an algo? It's the reaction at the pivot, right? That's always the tell, right? It's not this, it's this. Now remember that hitting, or likely this is a front run off of that is not a buy signal. So you might look here and say, well, that's interesting. Okay, because of course we always want to know what it did last, where who actually is in charge here. And we looked at this a couple of times. Right? We looked at, why is it stopping here, right, on the rally? Why here? Well, we know why. Now, why does it stop here? Well, the other variable in here that you'd want to be paying attention to is let me get, not that one. I want that one. Okay, see where we are? All right, look at that pivot. All right, so this is from swing low to that swing high. Now look at the confluence there. So all the things I just talked about here, the price action, prior resistance, support structure, all of that still in play. Oh, wait a minute, I've got an algo that's hitting its target here at the same time another algo is defending at the 65. This is what we call confluence. That's massive confluence. And even with that, now, was there a trade there? Is that a trade you'd take? What time, when did we do that? Well, you'd had to have been up and watching the market here and down on a smaller time frame. There was a decent little trade there. I mean, certainly not a home run ball, but if you're a shorter term trader, that's probably a nice little kick there. Now, are we going to come down and break it? Well, nothing says it must hold, right? We know this, right? One side's going to break eventually here, but from pivot low here per the A wave of this, as I'm currently got it labeled, this is not insignificant. Now, so you look at it and say, well, wait a minute. Now, if we break here, what's next? Well, that's where we're headed, because the question now is, do we have enough detail in here to where we could use the Elliott Wave Theory and rules and guidelines? Can we finish here? Can we get it done here? Well, it remains to be seen. So let me just focus on a couple of things here as well. Let me pull back out here. Right, I just wanted to emphasize how significant that pivot is. So a break of this pivot means we're going to lose the buy side algo, right? So it wouldn't matter then what pivots you're going to use. If we break here, we lose any buy side from any of these pivots down here, broken. Now, how do we get one back? Well, of course, we can get one back, right? Something has to come down here. We have to pivot. Now we can get a buy side again. But if we break here out on the daily, sellers in control. Let's see. There's a couple other things happening here. So with that, acknowledged here, and I'm assuming members, you all did the same thing. Oh, I should note, if you want to model this, you got to be on the Brave New Coin Index, you got to be in log scale, and you got to be on the daily. So with that said, now we've got some insight into the significance of that pivot. Now it becomes a question of, is that good enough to hold? Well, certainly the algo play, the price action, all of that gives you a contender. But if we're going to apply some Elliott to us, it might lead us to think that, perhaps we need a little bit more to come. Okay, so with that said, let me, let's see, I'm going to hide that one. No, that's not the one I want. I'm going to hide that one. Okay, so we know where we are. This is a significant pivot, right? I mean, again, even from the price action. Well, let me switch the count up a little bit because this is actually my preferred count. And I think you can do a lot here with this just out here on the daily in terms of putting together a roadmap. Well, if we're going to, as I was saying earlier, if we're going to come down and do the flat, right, there's an awfully good target, right? We can use the geometry here. We can use the balance between the median lines. We'd also have, oh, shit, where are they? Here, let's bring these in. Okay, so I'm using some time here. All right, so let's get that identified here. So this is simply, right, we've been through this a couple of times. This would be the length of the A wave in time projected from the B wave in time. Now there's exactly 100%. Right, so if you were going to do a flat, well, that might be a place that you'd start. Well, in addition to that, if you're doing a flat, oh, I've got it, but here, let's just draw it again. If we go here and I go right to that pivot, well, look where the 100 is. Here, I'll just draw it like this, right? So here's our 100 right here. Length of the A projected from the B. Look at that. I mean, that's, if you're an Elliott trader or technicians here, if you use the kind of material that we teach, oh my God, right? That's as sexy as it gets, right? I mean, only in the context, right? I say that it's not just about, oh my God, look at the confluence here. Could that be the pivot? It's the fact that you could take a trade off of that. I mean, that's our objective here, right? Now, if you don't want to try and pick the turn, although if we get that, I'm buying that regardless. I don't care what the fuck is happening. I'm buying that because it's so incredibly good. If we get that, right? And I would look to add there for the 2, for the 3, right? So the 1 and the 5. We'd be moving the 4 over. That said, while that's certainly a roadmap you can kind of stitch together here by putting all these pieces into it, right? Median line time, pattern, the flat, the fib relationship. There's a whole lot here. I think the bigger issue here is if it's a flat, we've got to finish this as emotive waves, all right? So we can have an impulse or a diag. But this count here, oh, you can horseshoe a couple of things in here, but the clean count it implies to me and a couple other good Elliotticians that I share charts with here, members and senseis, this looks more corrective. It looks more like a 3. All right, so if it's a 3, it would be consistent with what my preferred count is that we're still in the process of working through a triangle, right? It would suit our guidelines of alternation where we had long, sharp finish on the C wave through the COVID dump here, right? So we've got this sharp finish here. And for this to go sideways and frustrate the hell out of the market while everybody's going, God damn it, what's going on with crypto? All of those conditions are exactly when you start thinking it, hearing it, you're seeing it on Twitter, nobody knows what the hell's going on. Triangle. So if we're going to go to a triangle, let's change it up a little bit. So I'm going to get rid of that ABC and take that off. And let's put the triangle back on. Okay, let's see if the geometry here can guide us a little bit through the potential of the triangle. So I'm going to put the 4 over here. I've got this geometry here that's tied to time and the median lines. Okay, so let's look at that. So let me get back here because I teed this up here while I was prepping for this. Okay, so if we're going to go to the triangle, well, if we're going to come down here for the C, there's a couple of things we'd want to pay attention to. First is, for a triangle, we'd want to see the geometry of the triangle play. So I'm just connecting the 2 pivots here. Now, you remember, recall, as we worked through all the variables that were here, we have a slight truncation here. So we have a lower pivot here, and then we get a higher low, which gives us this slope here. Now, look at the angle of that slope as it would relate to 100% in time and the median line. Now, does that mean the market's coming down here? Well, look again, look what we'd have here, right? So we'd have length of the, if I can get it up here. Oh, shit, I got it locked. Length of the A wave in here. Put that back and lock it again. Oh, maybe I don't want it locked. B wave. C wave. All right. So here at this point in time, how would we know, right? If you're a new Elliottician student, you might be looking here. Well, so hey man, you just showed me how that could be a flat. How would you know that it's not a flat and that you're not going to go 1-2? Well, the only way we'd make that determination, enough to lean into a trade here, is whether or not we can identify this as a 3 or a 5. If it's a 3, well, per rules and guidelines, we can't finish here, right? You can never finish on a 3. So what are we thinking, right? If it's a 3, then we're thinking triangle. Now, stay with me on the geometry here. So if we go here, right? Well, it's just to make it all the more perfect for purists, right? So remember, in a flat, we'd want to see the channel here. Now it's in log scale, so I can't actually draw a channel because it squeezes it too much. But you'll note here, if you look at that yellow line relative to these two pivots, remember, we've got a slightly higher high here. Here, if we come in here with a slight, that we'd have an absolute. Again, it doesn't get any sexier if you're a technician. But let's just stay with that, right? So the idea, if it's a flat, then we have to be able to count a clean motive here, a clean 5, right? If it's not a flat, then this goes away. We take this off, right? Because we're not trying to identify the channel of a flat. We're trying to identify the geometry of a triangle. So we could do it this way. We could just put a line on top of the median line here, so we'd get that triangle. You see how it's starting to come together. Now, I know we've been over this a couple of times, but the potential here is, oh my God, it's so good. I can't resist doing it. Okay, so if we come down for the C, now think about that for a second. If we hit the C, we'd be hitting perfect geometry, median line, the fib relationship, all of it, right? It doesn't get any sexier. Okay, now also note here, this would be right on the edge, right before the potential fall is there, right? So all of this wide open space that's down here, we don't want to see the market going in there. What are we pivoting off of there? That's the, oh fuck, that's the 2017 high, right? So we don't want the market dipping into this, right? The potential is there. You can see it over here a little more cleanly. There's very little support here because we went up so fast, right? So we don't want to dip into that. If you're a bull, I should say that. Right, assuming most people watching here are bulls, at least in terms of their long-term bias. All right, let me reset here for a second. Let me get that back in here. Open this up so we can focus on the triangle here. Okay, so here would be the 100, right? Length of the A projected from the B. Well, if we're going to come back for the D, right? These are patterns that are prone to repeating. Well, note what I've got here. Now, this is the 1618, the length of the A projected from the B. Right, we'd hit 100 here, 1618, 200. Now let's see if that fits, right? Oh shit, I think I've got it. Oh, come here. Oh, it was the one I hadn't used. Oh, fuck, here, I'll just draw it. I thought I could have sworn I drew that. So this one? Nope, that's my major. Oh, here, we'll just draw it again. Okay, so we're looking right here. If we get this length, if we get a C, now if we get that, right? So we do the same thing. We just draw from this pivot to this pivot. Look what we get here. You'd be retracing exactly to the 50. Right, so we'd have a sell side algo. Now that sell side algo is going to have a target down here, right in that zone where I told you we don't want to go. But in order to get there, it's going to have to break this downsloping median line. Well, I mean, you could see it, right? If we're going to come down further, we would lose the geometry of the triangle. We'd lose it, right? We don't want the E falling below the A, certainly. Right, so we'd have this confluence point right here where we'd hit the upsloping trend line from these two pivots, right, where we were like, damn, that's, I'm sort of surprised at that truncation. But it would make absolutely perfect sense here to give us that trend line, to give us the C, the D at the 50. Now, you're counting on the structure here and the well, we can call this fairly strong support per here, even if I just take it to the prior 3-4, fairly strong support here, given how long we've stayed in this range, right? So if we're going to break into this zone I just highlighted here, things are starting to change and look a little uglier here. We don't need to go there yet. Let's not assume the worst. Right now, this is so clean. So we'd come up here, we'd get the upsloping channel. As we hit the upsloping channel here at the 200% the length of the A, it's so good. I mean, if that plays, again, I've been caught. Well, since this thing started, I think for 6 months, I've been saying this is the potential of the greatest Elliott wave in the history of Elliott waves. I'm sticking with that. That's my story, and I'm staying with it. If we hit over here, if we do it with the flat, it's just as good. It's just as sexy. But if we do it here, we get bang, bang, bang. Ugh. All right, and then what would come next? All right, off to blow everybody's mind, right? Okay, so that's where I think we are now. So now, while this is fun, right, to kind of go, oh my God, could it do that? Yeah, well, absolutely it could. Are we counting on that? Well, we don't want to count on it. I don't want to ignore it. I certainly want to have. I would say this: there's my primary. Now, do I need to get every tick here to make this fly? No, but I wouldn't bet against it. Okay, so it ultimately comes down to, as we decipher, okay, is there a trade coming that we can take advantage of? Because whether this is a flat and we're going into a 1-2 here, or it's the triangle and we're going into the DE, this will be, if we come down here, if we get this opportunity, this will be an area to look long and hard at potentially getting long here. Now, could you ride through that? Do you need to ride through that? Do you want to take it to the D and then go short? I mean, you're going to have a lot of options based on what we get here. Right now, we're just holding at that golden zone from the pivot. So we don't even know that it gets here. I look at the details. We dig in there a little bit more. We might give us some clues, right? Which that's all we got, right? Does the pattern look like it's finished? I would make a copy of this and have that somewhere, right, for potential. Well, there's one you could tell your grandchildren. Okay, let me keep moving. So let me go. Well, here, I'm just quickly here. This is the one that's in play right now. I wanted to show you this one for a couple of reasons. Let's not focus on the count, because of the 3 counts I'm going to show you, I think this is my least favorite, although it's technically valid. Well, I wanted to show you this to you here. Well, so now I'm down to a 2-hour where we have, remember, as we were drawing it over here, we had the pivots. We didn't have the same pivots that we could use. When we go down to the 2-hour here, we get a choice of pivots here. And again, we've looked at this over the last couple of weeks. We know that was used. Oh, shit, here, right? So we got a lot of new students here. So we can look and say, okay, we know that they used it. So if we go here to here, we get right in the pocket where you'd anticipate that, oh, God damn it, you'd anticipate a reaction. I swear that's the most annoying thing in TradingView. Right in the pocket, boom, there's first, second, third, right? So it just so we know the algorithm used it, right? So that's why we use that. Right, we're always trying to say, what did it use last, right? Can we identify it? So we've got that identified. Now let's pull back. So look what we have here, right? So we go swing. Now this is a couple of weeks ago. We really went, into deep as to why, right? When this was rallying, why can't it go? Why can't it keep going? Now, I remember doing that, and then I think, as I recall, we did it this way, and we said, oh, okay, well, so we got an algo here we're fighting, right? It doesn't mean it can't break, but that we can understand why it can't get any higher. Well, same thing from the low, right? We just did the same thing. We drew it right here. Now, as you see it here, as it comes down, I think, oh shit, I think we did this was a couple of Fridays ago. We were just in this algo box, right? But now when we started to break here, it became clear that the bears had the advantage. Oh shit, I can't remember what Friday it was, but you can see how, look at the back, look, Jesus, so funny. All right, look at all the times that it taps into that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times before it breaks on a 2-hour. 9 times. So we look here, and I remember doing that, going, oh, well, okay, we don't know who's going to win, right? I mean, but you got one. This guy has a target up here. Right? This guy's got a target up here. This guy has a target down here. We said, well, you'd have to give the advantage to the bears, right? I mean, per the Elliott count, the advantage was to the bears anyway. So you're looking at that going, well, they've got a target down here. Well, what else could we do to try and identify whether or not that's a valid target, right? It would help us identify some confluence. Well, remember in a correction, we're going to use a shift pitchfork. So we're hitting the median line as we hit the algo target from that swing structure here. Now, I may circle back to this count. Prepping for this, go through multiple counts here. I mean, this is valid. Well, here, we'll do my least favorite first. Some of you might have this. So since we've got this one now off, the problem with this is the size of the swings, right? I think there's sometimes we Elliotticians will complicate things when you don't need to. All right. So when I was looking at this, I still prefer this as one completed unit, whatever it is, 3, 5, or a 3. I think it plays better as a 3. So we could go W, well, then we could go A, B, C into an X. Well, then you could actually, and this is fairly clean here, you can go A, triangle B, and then you get a clean impulse to finish. Now the 5 is a little iffy on the 5 there, but that would give you WXY. 3 into another X. Now, 3 into another X, and we're trying to finish with an A, B, C. It's not the prettiest diag I've ever seen, but it actually plays. You get a nice 3 kick in the 3 here. This was yesterday when it was like, hey, what's going on? Oh, maybe we have to rethink all the counts, and then maybe not. So you're seeing a couple of things here. Well, one, let's just review, right? God damn it. One, there's our 80%. Well, shit, actually our 80% is here, right? So we get a golden corner, 80% tagged. We're back to revisit here. Now, trading principle number 3, if we're not going to pivot right on the median line, the market will often hover around it, right? Where it decides, are we going to the upper parallel, or are we going down to the lower parallel? Well, if we're looking for a C to finish here, that's a 2-hour here. If we were looking for that, and here we'll look at a couple of different ways we could get here. Again, I think this is it almost doesn't matter here when we look at the other counts, because we'd end up at the same location, whether it's a WXY or a WXYXZ. Either way, we're trying to get this last leg to finish. Well, let's go to the 30-minute. Why it keeps doing that? Do we have enough here? Well, whatever we're doing here, we're building. This is very 4-like. You could say we're pausing here. The market is digesting the news here. Like, are we in panic free fall, or we've had a reaction, clearly liquidation on the way down. To those that are levered, they're getting blown out. Now, do we really have a clean 5 here? Well, I mean, it's mighty skinny. I'm down to a 30-minute, even to a 15. I cannot figure out why I keep getting that, right? I get it. I mean, I don't know if anyone's having that problem. Certainly not relative to my account. If it was, I wouldn't be able to get the intraday. It's very odd that keeps kicking here. Oh, anyway, I digress. All right, so can we call that a finished impulse? Well, it looks like you might be able to get something to finish here, but really, that's the finish. And then, sure looks like all we did was another 3 here, right? So it doesn't look like it's finished. So if anything. Oh, if I had to label it, 1, 2, 3, 4 looks like A, B. I don't know if you can get 5 in there. Something along those lines here. That's a stretch. You might be down to the 2-3 minute to see if you can get a C into that. No, if one more up here, maybe you get an expanding triangle. It looks very 4-ish, right? We're consolidating. So if there's one more kick down here, this is already a little bit shaky. That wouldn't be enough for me to say, oh, time to get long, right? Despite the fact that we tagged the algo target, we've got the median line. All of that looks good. Here, when we dig down here, that's not the start that we want. What we want to see is, well, ideally, we get something like this, and then we go, that's what we're waiting for. Now, is the market going to give us that? Well, Bitcoin is a bitch, right? It won't always give you what you want, but if you give it time, it will reveal itself, and it's so incredibly technical. Remember where I started, that I wouldn't. Patience is what you need here. Patience. All right, everybody wants Bitcoin at 100 grand or higher now. No doubt in my mind we get there and way beyond, but for those people who came into crypto looking to get rich quickly because we were at new all-time highs, welcome to the reality of trading. All right, if it were easy, well, you know how it goes. All right, so are we done here? That looks less likely to me that we'd be done here. That's not a finishing pattern here. Oh shit! If anything, it looks like even if that is the 3, oh shit! Here, even if we went with it, here there's something finished here. Is that the 1, 2 you'd want to start it? Right? Is that you thinking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? I'm not. Next thing is, are we going to test that low? The 3, the 5, right? Maybe. I mean, that's not good enough for me. I wouldn't touch that. Not yet. And what's the hurry? If I get a big kick out of here, oh, okay, fine. I'm not chomping at the bit to do anything here because this is very unclear. So why force a trade here? I don't think you need to. Let me with that said here, and we've kind of dug through that. How am I doing? There's 30 minutes. Okay, let me just bring over the alternates. So this would be my primary. I've got it over here in Motive Wave, which I'm going to bring over here now. Maybe you know that this is a product I have used for many, many years. Big fan of their stuff, as I've said many times here, and I won't dwell on this, but as far as I'm concerned, this is the best technical package, bar none. There's nothing it doesn't do. If you're interested in Motive Wave, if you look under the video, members all know this, but any YouTube subs, if you look under our video, in that link tree, there'll be a link to Motive Wave. If you use that link, that kicks us a little kicker if you decided to purchase it. Nice way to support the channel. We don't really push that kind of stuff, but just so you know, that would be a nice way to contribute if you wanted to. But ultimately, that's not the reason to do it. The reason to do it is because you love the software. They have a 14-day trial of the full package here, which we think is pretty generous. So if you're interested in that, that's something to consider. Now, so all that said, so here's the count that I prefer, and so you see it here. It's the A, B, C, D, right? So here we'd be coming into the 618. Although we just looked at this on the Brave New Coin Index, that could be at a 50 as well. If I get that to come down, there's the 50. So if we got the 50, most common for the D relative to the B, length of the B to the C would be the 618. So it's equally a contender here. Now we've got the Y and the C coming in down here, which would imply that if we're going to get that 100%, we looked at this a couple of times, right around 32K. So how do we get here? Well, I like the count here a little bit better. So rather than trying to squeeze an impulse into this, because even the 4 it's just kind of ugly. The A down into the B into the C. So I want this to be a self-contained structure because the size, the time, I think it just fits better here to complete something here, whether it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which I don't think is as clean because the impulse in the 3 is really not there. Here, if we do it as an ABC, it's a little cleaner. We can get 3 into the X, so we go W, X. Now we're working on ABC, right? So it wouldn't matter if you went A, B, C, W, X, A, B, C, Y, X, Z, right? You're still trying to finish a larger 3 at the end of the day, right? Whether it's A, B, C, D, E, or pardon me, W, X, Y, X, Z, doesn't matter. We're still trying to get to a pivot down here that's technical. So if we come back over, oh shit, if we come back over, oh fuck, where'd I put it? Ooh. Oh, pardon me, oh, shit, Motive Wave. WXAB. Now I need 5 to finish, and I can be done. But it doesn't look like it's there, right? So 1, 2, as we stall at that pivot. Now, can we get a 3, 4, 5? Bring us down here, where then we're right in line. We're right back at the 100. We'd have completed the WXY to give us the C wave down here. So ultimately, we're trying to get, even though that stacks them here, the C is what we're after here. 32 and change. Per this count, 1, 2, looks like the 3 is what we started. Looks like we started that 3. It needs a 4 and a 5 to get done down here. And then if we get this right on that slump, back where I started, if we get all of that right here, add the median line. that's a, yeah. I don't know what you're waiting for if you don't take that. I don't know that I can help you. Doesn't mean it's a guaranteed winner, right? Don't misinterpret what I'm saying. I'm just saying in terms of a technical setup, you show me a better one. I'd love to see it. I'm pretty sure you can't. Okay, so with that, let me, oh shit, here, I got to remember back to motive wave. Okay, WXY, we're looking for that to finish, right? So then up for the D, right? Maybe, right? This E down here, we could split it. We don't have to go to this level. E's kind of a wild card. Could overthrow, underthrow. Somewhere out here, put us in the middle of the summer. If we're just using the time geometry. Oh, and then if I come back here, oh, here, this would be, that's May 24th. If we're going to hit 200, the length of the A, E, right? 200 would be at May. If I look at it over in motive wave, just using that range. Well, here would be May. Here's May here, right here. Maybe we do something like that. If you take it to the apex, then we're out, towards the end of the year. Doesn't have to pivot at the apex. Right? We could do it right here. How are you interpreting this? Right? That's ultimately what dictates it. I think this plays better as a 3, which leads me into the triangle because we cannot finish a flat with a 3, right? So thus, if you're leaning into this as a 5, well, then you're expecting this to be a flat and you're looking for the buy. But that's a challenging count to get that into an impulse or even a motive wave, right? The one other that I thought was worth a look here because at least to address it. Well, now here, if I go, here I'm in semi-log here, so if I go from WXY into the A, B here, now I'm using the aggregate pricing here. If we do it as a diag, we could be approaching a finish here. So ABC into a 1, ABC into a 2, ABC into a 3. This actually plays pretty well. But then you'd have to have this be a 1, 2 on the little kick there. We're in the 3, 4, 5, still needs to happen. So if you're working towards that 5 down here on the idea that you're going to get the apex here, so 1, 2, 3, we need a little kickback here to test that structure. One more down for the 5, and then if we're going to finish here, then you would be thinking flat. You'd be finishing here in the upper 30s, assuming we stay with we don't get some wild extension in the 5th. You'd be finishing here in the upper 30s, even here between 36 and 37. Then you'd have a running flat, right, where the C is going to be short of the length of the A, but since the B expanded, that'd be perfectly valid. But remember, the key to it is, are you interpreting this as a 5? Well, here's one way you could do it. So, right, sometimes I get comments like, oh, okay, so what you're telling me is it could be up or down. It could go further, lower. Guys, the goal here is to teach you how to apply. You got to make the decision as to whether you're pulling the trigger. You got to do the trade management. What we're trying to teach you is how to get to a point where you can make an informed trading decision. So for those of you that are coming to the videos here as YouTube subs, looking for your hand to be held, you're on the wrong channel. What we're trying to teach you is so that nobody needs to hold your hand, right? Big difference, right? That's what since the day we started. It was never to give you the trades. It was to teach you so you could give the trades to yourself. Okay, all right, I think we got that. Well, here's a look at it here. So if you were looking at, if we just think back to where we just were in the 4, trying to finish that. If that's 1, and you could do this through a diag, it's ugly, but you could do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, not much of a 5, but you could get a 1, 2 into that. 3 looks like it still has more to go. 4, now you're trying to finish down here at 36. Now you'd have the running flat. Right, it's a contender for the C to come in. This count here, and you can see, that's a 4-hour. This is some of the struggle with this count. I don't think it plays as cleanly, because this 3 is very shaky. There's a beautiful little 3 into that 4, but to dig an impulse out of there, very challenging. I don't think it's there, so I think it plays better with the prior count, but still A, B. Now, can we finish the C here? You could still finish this as a triangle that way. All right, if you stay with this count, it's still a 3. A, B, C. It was just simplified version. of the WXY. Right? It's all in how you're interpreting that. And at the end of the day, I don't know that it matters terribly. Is if we get down to the same location down here in the mid 30s, whether you're counting it as an ABC or as a WXY, is it really going to matter? I don't know that it will. At the end of the day, whether it's WXY or ABC, we still have to finish the 5 down here. And right now, that's not a finish, right? If anything, maybe best case, maybe you finished. Hang on. Maybe you finished the 3. I can get that hot. Maybe you finished the 3. Since we're stalling here, 4 back down for the 5. Now you're at 36 and change, right? That would set up, right? You could use this same set of geometry or same trend lines here per the geometry of the triangle. Now you're into C, D, E. Same thing. All right. Did I get everybody covered? Oh, I think I did. I have over here. Well, this was the other count here that we had looked at, but I don't think we need to get back here. Oh, this, I think we, could you finish it here? 1, 2, let's go to that 15 minute. Once again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Could we be done here? Well, we're already. Look how close we are. This looks unlikely, but you never know. A break is not there yet. Looks like a 3. So I'm inclined to think that there's more best case. We finish the 3 here. 4. We're going down for the 5. So it looks like more down to come. Well, this will be telling if we break that, we can eliminate one of the counts. So there we sit. That's my preferred. That's the one that, oh God. That's a wave you could retire on, right? If you can nail that. Right, you won't have to do much more if you can get that right. Okay, guys, there you go. I think we covered everything there. Do I have any marketing things to say? I don't think I do. Other than, oh God, I don't say this. Smash that like button. Actually, it is worthwhile. It does help us if you do that. We get for the YouTube algorithm. So if you like the video, if you get something out of these, we always appreciate it if you give it a like. If you have comments, well. If you're an asshole about things, I'm probably going to flick it. But most of them, if you're just making an intelligent comment, right? I'm always curious what you're thinking. All right, so there you go, guys. That'll give you plenty to chew on. Just a reminder, you can always join us for free. Get started on the white belt if you want to dig in and really master this. I'm not here to tell you it's easy, but I'm just showing you there is a path to it. Okay, guys, with that, I wish you a good weekend, and we'll be back for a live stream on Monday, 11:30, as we have been Monday and Tuesday, Money Crypto on Wednesdays. I'll be back next Friday. Okay, guys, have a good